Welcome to Nintendo Ninja News. I'm your host, Chris Dices, and we are here with the NNN show, talking about, yes, the Nintendo Switch Pro that everyone else is jumping on the bandwagon of because people love hardware and they want to have a better version of the Switch, and also they just like to copy off each other. Um, so this is the report or reports that are coming in at the moment. Just DigiTimes, obviously, it's a sort of Asian-based website that has a mixed record. Now, it's saying that it will release in mid-2020. So if you hear summertime, that's actually winter time here in Australia. And it will begin production at the end of the first quarter, which is about March, which is about 3 years since the Nintendo Switch, the OG version, was released. So obviously the president did say in February last year that Nintendo has ideas to further the life cycle of the Nintendo Switch. Think about the Nintendo DS line. You know, you had or the 3DS line. You had the light version, you had the OG version, you had an extra large version, all these different little versions that they made over the years. Now, there's not much information to really say about it. One of the predictors or analysts, Dr. Sergey Toto, suggested a price of $400, which is nearly $600 here in Australia, with 4K support, bigger cartridge sizes, and better components. Now, the 4K support doesn't mean that it will run native in 4K. It will be like upscaled and probably 4K YouTube, which, they're nice features, but you probably already have a PS4 Pro or PC or things like that that can already do that type of thing. But there are others who are skeptical about it. I don't know really all these rumors true or not. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the Nintendo does pull out a pro version of the Nintendo Switch, because one of the things that they can do is fix up some of the issues. Now, I know that, let's just grab out the Switch here on the desk, and you know that the Switch has a few issues. You know, we had the little bend gate, which, to be honest, I don't think mine has ever really went bent, despite the amount of hours that I played on it. We know that the kickstand is not the best, and as you can tell, my Joy-Cons are not here because of the Joy-Con drift. So that's probably the main issue that they have to solve for the console. Now, some people said that the Nintendo Switch was rushed out because of the Wii U, and I would say that, yeah, probably it was rushed out a bit because the Wii U was tanking and the 3DS sales were probably starting to go down. The 3DS had been out for about about 4 years or so. So they would be a little bit concerned about not having a console that was selling really well for that point of view. Now, the Switch Pro could have more RAM, it could have better storage instead of 32 gig, it could have a better CPU, but think of it like, the Pro version of PS4 and Xbox One. Don't expect a huge difference between the different models. It will just make your games look prettier. That's virtually it, and some hardware improvements where they have not been able to do that. Obviously, with the Joy-Con drift, there has been some lawsuits being thrown at Nintendo uh, to to improve the Joy-Con drift situation. Now, there was a statement um, from Nintendo. Was there a statement from Nintendo? Well, basically, the statement from Nintendo of America spokesperson said that it has nothing to announce on this topic, which is interesting. So they might be keeping their cards close to their chest. Now, how do I feel personally about pro versions of consoles that's always been out? Like, I know that everyone loves an improved version. Like, I loved the the new Nintendo 3DS, which is technically now old. Now it's been out for a number of years. That naming was always going to be confusing as the years go on. But I don't like I like the idea of getting a good hardware and using it for 5 years instead of getting one hardware and then every 2 years you have to update. Because if you have to spend $500 on hardware and there's a new version that comes out every 2 years or 2 to 3 years, let's just say 3 years for the Switch, you're paying $150 to $200 per year for the hardware, in terms of its longevity and all that sort of stuff. So you're paying big bucks for hardware every year. And then you've got to buy the games, you've got to buy some accessories and things like that. Which kind of annoys me. And I don't want to get it to a point where it ends up being like smartphones, where every year there's a new, slightly different version of a video game hardware to sort of keep pushing sales and things like that. So maybe that's why I'm not a huge fan of pro versions. I just want a hardware that does the job for the next 5, 6 years and that. Now, there will be people at home saying, well, Chris, you don't have to buy the pro version. That's true. But it does annoy people like me, and especially running a YouTube channel. I think there is some sort of expectation for me to have the best version of a Nintendo console, da 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 da. And also too that you might enjoy a game that, doesn't run very well on the original Switch model, and you have to wait for the Pro version in order to fix some of the game issues, like, the Joy-Con drift. Games like Fortnite doesn't run well. Now, some people will say because of the low power of the Switch. No, that's because Epic Games just hasn't bothered to really properly fix their game, for example. And there's other games that may not run as well on the Switch. It's all about optimizing a game. It's a dev studio issue rather than a hardware issue. So, do I think that a pro version will come out in 2020? There's always the likelihood of it. And I think I said the same thing with the with the light version of it. There's always the likelihood of it, but don't 100% buy into it. Um, don't completely start thinking that, yes, um, that this is definitely coming, or this sort of thing. But I am curious to see um, how this will all turn out in terms of what people would think of the Pro. Now, what would I like to see in a Nintendo Switch Pro version? I would want at least 128 gig of storage, at least, bare minimal, not 32 gig. It's shocking. The Joy-Con drift needs to be solved. Not completely solved by now. They've had enough time in the R&D room to fix those issues. I've also heard a rumor of um, they're going to have a metal casing for the Switch. Now, that might be, if it helps with the heating of the console and all that sort of stuff, then okay, do it. Um, if it works out on a cost thing, if it's going to really jump the price up of the console, maybe not do it. Maybe use another type of material for the console. I would also like maybe a better kickstand. But to be honest, I get a funny feeling that many people don't use this. I think people use another type of stand. Like even the Wii U stand for the gamepad itself is absolutely perfect for it. So I don't think this is it's sort of like the Mario Kart battle mode. A lot of people complain about wanting it, but once they get it, they don't use it that much. And I think this is just something that people are not real keen on using at all, even if it was wider and bigger, for example. Now, what else would I like? I would like maybe a bigger screen, probably make it a little bit larger. But then again, you would have to do different resolutions and things like that, which would be annoying. The 4K upscale, would I want that? I don't have a 4K TV. But I guess for those who own one, it would probably be nice for them to have it. Seeming that 4K is becoming more and more, I would say, common in the place. Now there's a lot of 4K movies out now, but it's not mainstream. It's not like we're watching 4K content all the time, and we're definitely not streaming in 4K. I wouldn't find any need to record in 4K at all because I don't think people would be even able to view it in 4K, especially here in Australia. Um, People struggle to even stream 1080p, especially on their computers and things like that. So that's just something that is not going to happen. But overall, yes, you may get a pro version of it. Don't get your hopes up too high. If it's not going to be a complete a complete big ass version of the next Switch console, the next Nintendo console. Just temper your expectations, and we'll just see what happens. But yes, everyone is reporting on it, and they're getting all excited. I'm like, it's we've already had a light version come out last year, so you'll have a pro, a light, and a in between version of it. But for me, it's not about hardware. As you know, it's all about the games. I'm just looking forward to what games will come out this year. I'm not that keen on the hardware. Would I get a pro version if it came out? Probably, but it really depends on when they announce it, how much it costs, and how much time I've got to actually buy the damn thing. And that could be pretty difficult too. If it's going to be $600, it's going to take me a long time to buy that sort of thing, for that sort of thing. So it'll be for the really hardcore gamers who really want the best version of the Switch console. So that's all I've got to say on the matter. Let me know in the comments what you think a Nintendo Switch Pro version will be about, and I shall see you next time on Nintendo Ninja News.